part, I thought, because I was told that you were interested, if at any point you're bored or you want me to stop talking, just please tell me. But I thought I would edit a picture so you can see more or less what fine art editing entails. It all starts with the shooting. I have to say I'm still learning to use my flashes. I didn't tell you that maybe a year ago or so. I started renting a space as a studio. It's just a big room in a building, and I got some flashes, and learning to use them. I mean, I've been learning for a couple of years now because I've always been a natural light photographer. I just see the light. I just see and I know straight away what my aperture needs to be, my ISO, my speed. I just know with natural light. With strobes, not so much. And it's a journey as well that you need to learn how to use them. And I think the reason why I couldn't get what the results that I wanted is because I was trying with fine art. It's because I was trying to get in camera the results that you see afterwards. So I was looking at these Paulina's photos, and I'm like, how does she do it? And I was just trying and changing all the settings, pressing all the buttons, and just trying to get it in camera. And I just couldn't, because if I wanted to get like nice dark shadows, then everything looked really, really dark or really blown out, the highlights, and it was just really confusing until I did the two master classes that I did. And then you learn, because I think it was also helpful to do it with two different people, because then you see how they almost achieve the same result or very similar result, but working in a very different way. So that means that there are many, many different ways to achieve the same final result. I wanted to show you just a couple of before and after, so you see how different the before and after look. You see a photo and you think, oh, wow, that's amazing. Yeah, but it doesn't come out. One thing that I hate is when people look at the pictures, oh, wow, they're amazing. You must have a really, really good camera. And you're like, do I? So, yeah. So, for example, these, I don't know how to make this vertical like it was before. Oops, I don't know what I've done. Okay, there we go. Okay, see some of you. So this is the before with the strobe. As you can see, it's quite underexposed. So for this kind of photography, you need to shoot quite to very underexposed to make sure that you don't blow out any highlights. You see there's some highlights here, and you get the catch light in the eyes, but there are no hot spots. So this is the before and this is the after. So if you can see, it's well, and I added the background with Photoshop as well afterwards. So this is my daughter. I don't know how many of you have watched a series on Netflix called Bridgerton, but I did. And this was last year, I think. And I love the aesthetic of the series and the look of it. So I tried to recreate it more or less with my sad looking daughter in this picture. So this is the before and this is the after. Again, if you can see, the light is completely different. I thought these flowers would look nice, but I didn't like them. So I just deleted them. This is the photo that Mike was talking about with my friend. So this is the before and this is the after. Like you can see, as you can see, quite underexposed, trying not to burn anything. Yeah, and then with lots of patience and hard work. we got to this result. I can't promise you it's going to be such a detailed edit today, because this probably took me a good couple of hours. So I'm going to try and do something just a little bit so you can see what I mean. When I'm shooting for fine art, you can't see it now, but if you see in the thumbnail, I put my camera in monochrome, because in that way, the screen shows, when you take the picture, the back of your camera shows it in black and white, and I find that really helpful, so you can see where the shadows are. And oh my goodness, my batteries in my mouse just died. Okay, let's see if it'll come back. Okay. So yeah, just the highlights and the shadows. So I tend to shoot in monochrome, but it's only the preview. When you open it in Photoshop, it's in color. Okay, so I'm going to say goodbye to you here. Okay. So when I open the picture, oh my goodness, I'm sorry, my mouse has decided that it's going to die right now. So let me just quickly, I'm going to change the batteries. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay, where are we? Why are we losing the connection? Oh, there we are. Okay. So I'll open the image in Camera Raw, and once here, then I start with lifting up the exposure a bit. The shadows, I up them up a lot to recover all the details that I can. In the hair, by doing this, I am starting to have a lot of highlights here, so I just bring them down a little bit, the highlights. And I usually go to color mixer and luminance. I make the oranges for her skin a bit lighter. So now I open in Photoshop. Okay. So the first thing I would do is to crop the image to a ratio of 4:5. Please tell me if I'm going too fast, or if you want me to slow down, or I just want to do as much as I can with the time that we've got. Okay. 4:5, because that gives it more of a painting kind of feel, because of the ratio. I think that's more of a painting, ratio, if that's the right word. So, but you see, there's no space up here at the top, so I would just extend the canvas a little bit. And here in, oops, okay. Oh, well, now it's decided to do that, but I didn't want to do that. Okay, let's try again. Okay, so I click Content Aware, and Photoshop will fill this up with the closest match to the edge of the canvas. Okay, so now I will duplicate my layer. I go to Filter, Liquify, and this is to, I don't want to say beautify, because that's not the right word, but just to enhance a bit some of the features of the person. I only do this when it's a personal project, or I want to achieve a certain look and so on. If it's a paid customer, then I wouldn't change the features. We are all lovely as we are, and we don't need to change anything. If you have, you will see later, if you have a mole, I will not touch the mole. If you have a spot or a pimple or something, I will take that off, because that is unfortunate that at that time you have that on your skin, but it's not part of you, like moles are, or freckles, or even scars. Scars is a more sensitive topic, so some people want them removed, some people want them in. I won't touch that. So I would start with this little. If this is too basic, please just let me know. Let me just quickly check the chat. Sorry. Okay, that's all good. So tell me if it's too basic and you want me to speed up, or if you want me to slow down. This tool, what it does, it's just basically to push out. Push, push, push. So I'm just pushing to make hair a bit fuller. So we don't have any hairdresser friends. So we usually do this ourselves, and what we can't achieve in real life, then we achieve in Photoshop, and it's all good. So I would do this. This is a bit too straight. I'm just pushing. Okay, so let's say this is it. Maybe I'll push the face a little bit more in to make it a bit more triangular. You can extend, for example, these tubes. I would spend a lot more time in a photo that I was doing properly, but I'm just going to quickly do this. So yeah, more or less. Oh, there's this really funny tool, is called bloat tool. So basically, if I were to put that in an eye, it just bloop. See, it makes it big. But I don't use that for eyes for obvious reasons, but I just use it for hair. If it's curly, I just click a bit, and it makes the curls to be more, I don't know, spongy. So yeah, anyway, so this is how I would liquefy this image. I press OK. Okay, so if anyone has any questions, I'm not going to be looking at the chat all the time. So just feel free to chime in and just talk, like unmute yourselves and just talk. Okay, so now the next thing I will do is I'm going to create an empty layer, and I'm going to adjust I'm going to edit her skin. So I'm taking this healing tool, and I just go through the bigger spots. So basically I click where I wanted to take the sample from, and then I go over the rest. So this hair, I find it a bit distracting, so I'll delete this hair. Again, I'm not going to be very precise. I'm just going to quickly do it. Otherwise, we won't have time to go through the whole process. She's got freckles as well, so I'm trying not to erase any of the freckles. She's got an eyelash of that little hair. There we go. So she had a big one here that we can quickly make disappear. Another one here. There we go. I should really be doing this with a Wacom tablet of some sort, but to be honest, I've never gotten the hang of it. Maybe I should try again. I don't know. I'm so used to doing it with the mouse, and everyone says that's really an awful thing to do. I don't know. I'm used to it. But yes, I guess I should be more adventurous and then go for it. So I am going to really zoom in, and I'm going to remove the little veins, not all of them, but just like the bigger ones. Because in a painting, you would probably not have all the veins. You don't want to make it completely white either, but just a little bit. Okay, so let's zoom out. Okay, looks good. Looks good. I'm just going to go through here. You can see this little, okay, this is not perfect, but hey, oh, let's see. Okay, more or less. And now I will take this clone stamp tool, and with a very low opacity, I'll just go for like 20% opacity. I'll just try to soften a bit the under eyes shadows. You don't want to get rid of it completely because otherwise it looks weird, but just a little bit. So this was before and this is now. It's not nothing major, it's not plastic skin or anything like that, but it looks a lot cleaner. I'll crank up the opacity a bit, 30%, and I'm going to go around the hair. Can you see all of these stray hairs that she's got? So I'm not going to delete them as such, because again, usually if you try to delete hairs, it ends up looking a bit weird. So I'm just cloning a bit of the background onto the hair to just soften them a bit, not get rid of them completely, but just soften them a bit. So it doesn't look too crazy. You can imagine how curated magazine images are when all the hairs are absolutely perfect. There's nothing sticking out. So yeah. Okay, so the next thing I would do, it's called dodging and burning. So I'm going to make a new group. I'm going to call it dodge and burn. So I'm going to create 2 curves, 1 and 2. So one of them I am going to lift up like this. The other one I'm going to bring down like this, more or less. And I'm going to invert the mask. These masks, if it's black, it's covering what the curve is doing. And then if I paint in white, it will reveal what's underneath. So I'm going to duplicate this so I have the same thing twice. So I'm going to, sorry. I'm going to call this dodge and burn fine. And I'm going to call this dodge and burn general. And now basically, I'm going to, sorry, this is the, you know what, I haven't done this manually for a long time. I've created actions, so I just do them with my actions. Let's invert this. Okay, this is a highlight. Okay, so this is the highlight, and this is the shadows. So I just take a white brush and I get opacity 70, but then the flow is going to be very low. It's going to be 2%. Oh, before I do that, I was going to do it manually, but I think for the sake of time, I'm just going to use my action. Basically, this is a hue and saturation adjustment, which is going to make my image black and white again, so I can see the shadows and the highlights. And then the curves and the levels are just making it have contrast. So you see, this is very, very dark. But now this dodge and burn, it's got two faces, so to speak. So the first one, I'm just going to try and get rid of all the little blemishes and dark areas like this one. So this is where all my time goes. Now, if you can see, I'm pointing with my finger at the screen. Okay, so can you see that there's like a little dark area here? So I'll just go with this and just try to even it out, make it a bit lighter so it's more even with its surroundings. I can see some there. Let's see, before, after. Again, I'm not doing a very precise and fine job, but just so you can get an idea. So you see all the dark areas that I see. I am trying to match with the surroundings because the more uniform everything is, the better it look later. And if you invest the time on this, then it really, really shows. If you do it quickly, it's not as nice as Sylvie if you spend the time. But I mean, you can spend hours and hours and hours. So I'm just trying to see, okay, so there's a bit here, there's a bit there. I'm not trying to create any highlights or anything like that. I'm just trying to even out the skin tones. Like here, I know I can't even it out because this is the shadow, but it's in the areas that are lit in a similar way or that should be evenly lit. That's where you want the skin to be as even as possible. So trying to be quick. If you see, look, it doesn't look like I'm doing much, but look at the before and the after. So we're making progress. You also want to make the transitions between the light and the shadow as gradual and soft as possible, unless there's a big jump like this jump. But yeah. Okay, so here I can see there's like a big dark blob. Okay, so just helping the transitions. There's a bit on the white of the eye. Okay. So again, not making it white, just trying to help. I might have overdone it there, but anyway. Okay, let's see. So I can see, you see, I can still see a lot, but I will try not to dwell too much on it. It looks still a bit blotchy. Okay, so let's go back. Yeah. Well, more or less. Okay, so because it's so dark, now I'm going to go to my visual help, and I'm going to go to my levels, and I am going to make this a lot lighter to see if I have missed any very obvious spots of darkness. So I'm just trying to soften a bit this transition. Same here. I don't know if you can still see my face or not, but sometimes when I concentrate, I make very weird faces. So I apologize. Let's see. Okay. Okay, more or less. You say more or less, but I can't stop. I should really stop now. I should really stop. Okay. Well, okay, that's it. I'm going to stop. So I'm going to remove this visual help. And if you can see the before and after, might not look like a lot, but it really makes a big difference. So this was for the small details, imperfections of the skin. So the skin looks nicer and more even. So if I now go to my other dirt and burn, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to put the flow up a bit. So let's say 5%. And now I am going to, let me see, this is the highlight, right? Yeah. Okay, so high, shadow. So I'm basically going to reinforce the lights and the shadows as they are in the picture. By that, I mean, so this part of her forehead is light, so I'm just going to make it a bit lighter. There's a highlight coming down the center of her nose, so I'm just going to enhance that and a little bit here. There's a highlight here. There's some highlights around here. You can see this area is highlighted. This area. So I'm just going to go and make this pop a little bit. Again, there's a very small highlight there. This will make a massive difference. It's almost like applying makeup without applying makeup. Okay, so this is a lovely highlight there. Might have done it too much. Okay, like that. Around her lips. Around her lips. These highlights here. This, let's see. In this, in one of the courses that I did, I think with Paulina, she was explaining how we should, when you take portraits, you should always light from this side, from the left of the camera, because that's how we normally read. So your eyes will go naturally to this side. But for some reason, naturally, to me, when I'm trying to light up my scene, I automatically place the light on this side. I don't know why. So here I was trying to place the light on the other side. It's not, it's not, I don't know. It's all right. It's all right. It's not my usual way of lighting. So yeah, so lights in there. I can see some highlights on her hair. So I'm just going to quickly just go through those highlights of the hair. Make it shiny and nice. And now with the clothes here, I could spend hours, but I'm just going to try and go quickly as I can over these tubes. This will help give the photo a more Pinterest look in a minute, and also a bit more of 3D effect, more or less. So okay, and then the highlights in the dress. It was a velvet dress, so I think velvet photographs beautifully for these kind of images. Okay, more or less. And now the same thing we've done with the highlights, we're going to do with the shadows. So I'm going to go around the shadows. Wherever I see a shadow, I'm going to go and enhance that as well. So I can see a shadow here. Eyebrows, I can see a shadow here. The other eyebrow. Shadow here. Okay. So the eyes. I'm gonna go around the outside of the iris. Following this line. Following that line. Okay. So if you see just a few shadows, but it's already making it look a lot more defined, so to speak. I'm just going around here, just going, following the shadows. And again, I could just take forever to go through every single shadow here that I want, just so you can get an idea. I'll go down here, down here. Okay, let's see, I don't want to miss anything important, but again, I don't want to spend a lot of time because you can be doing this for hours and hours. So yeah, let's call it a day. So if you can see, this is what we've done now. When you know what the original looks like, this might even look a bit weird or a bit much, and maybe it's a bit much because at the end of the day, we're trying to imitate a painting. So yes, I'm going to get rid of this layer. That's what I would do. So okay, so now I am going to, I don't know if I should keep the layers or not. I'm going to keep them for now. The more layers you have, the slower the computer goes. So I'll see. I'm gonna keep the layers for now and see. I've just done a stamp of these layers, so I still have them, but I'm working on this top one, which is like a flattened layer. So next thing we're going to do is change the background. So we go to the quick selection tool, and you can go here, select subject, and it should select the subject. My computer is quite old, by the way, so it's a bit slow sometimes. Okay, so if now we go to select and mask, it should open this. There's this little brush with like little hairs there. So we take that one and we make the brush about this size, more or less. And we go around the, oops, not that much, around the line, the hairline. So it will help select the hair better. Still, it's not perfect by any means, but it does a decent job at refining the hair selection. So you see there's some hairs here that we're missing. Again, I would put more. I'll do it more carefully if I had more time, but let's not for now. So I'll just go around here. Come on. Okay, that's not good, but anyway, just a little bit there, just to make the cut of the selection a bit less obvious. If we're selecting too much, it doesn't matter because we can fix it in a minute. So, well, again, it's not going to be perfect, but so we go here and we say new layer with layer mask. So this is going to be now exported into Photoshop, transferred into Photoshop as a new layer with a layer mask. So yeah, now we are going to go to File, Place Embedded. And we are going to put our texture. I've just chosen a random texture. Okay, so I'm going to rotate it, and I'm going to make it like so, more or less. Okay, so I'm going to put it underneath my subject. If you see, the hair is more or less, it's not great, but it's all right. So that's good. Okay, so now we are going to rasterize this layer. And now we are going to do Command-Shift-U to make it black and white. And now we're going to change the blending mode to multiply. And now we are going to make a curve. And we're going to give it a bit of light. So I should have chosen a different texture. This one doesn't show a lot, but well, you can get an idea. Okay, so without and with. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my layer mask, and I am going to take a black brush with flow of 100% and opacity of about 50, and I'm just going to integrate the texture a bit better. So I'm just going to let the texture go a little bit into the hair and the clothes and so on, a tiny bit, so you can't really see that it's superimposed. Okay, the other side. Once this is done, okay, I haven't done this part. There we go. So once this is done, now we're going to go back to the texture, and I'm going to give it a little bit of a blur, just like 5. So again, to integrate everything a little bit better. And I'm going to give it hue saturation adjustment. And I'm going to bring, I think, the saturation a bit down. And I don't know if I should change the hue a bit. With this, you can just go crazy. But I like to try and match the dress as best I can. You see, now I'm matching the dress, but because I didn't do a very good selection, you can see the green coming through here, but hey ho. I'm going to try and integrate that a bit better. But you get the idea. Okay, never mind. Okay, so now we have our background that we love, and okay, I'm just going to flatten the image just so the computer can go a little bit faster. So now if I wanted to change her skin tone and make it a bit more even, so I would take a sample of a place where it's like a tone that I like. I don't know, something like this, more or less. And I would go to do a solid color. This is the color that I've just picked. I'd say, okay, blending mode, I go color, opacity, I go 30%. And now I am going to invert this to hide. Okay, so I'm going to now double click here, and I'm going to say I want a color overlay, and blending mode, it's going to be soft light. So I click here, the color overlay, and I choose again color that I like. Okay, okay. Now I come here and I'm just going to recover, if I can, this to bring back the highlights. And now I start painting. So I'm just going to do 30% opacity for my brush. I'm going to do it in white because the mask is in black. So I'm just now going to paint a bit over the skin. Again, they're tiny, tiny adjustments that when you look at them one by one, doesn't look like a lot. But when you see the whole image at the end, all of the little details are the ones that have made all the difference. So in areas that I see that the skin is a bit gray, I'll just paint. Again, very rough job I'm doing at the moment, but yeah, more or less. You see the highlight there was very white. Now it's a bit more I don't know if you can appreciate the change, but I can see it. If you look here on the highlight, okay, can you see the highlight and the forehead is they're a bit more white and they're a bit more brown, a bit more even with everything. Okay, so now I am going to just do, again, this is just an action that I have. This is just to add a little bit of color to her cheeks. But again, this is just basically a color overlay and a little bit of a curve just to bring out a bit subtle there and a bit in the lips. Zoop. You can do as much or as little makeup as you like. On the other picture with this lady, I took orange and did a bit of her makeup. I think I'm not going to do it right now. Yeah, I think that looks all right. So I'm going to now do the eyes. Again, the eyes, I have an action, but it's basically what you can see here is just a curve. Very, very accentuated curve. So I'm just going to take my white brush and the opacity I'm going to do just 10. And this is going to make the eyes pop out a bit more. So you see it's not a lot, but the eye looks a lot more alive. You don't want to overdo it so it doesn't look too fake. And I'm going to go in her iris. Oops. See Daisy, what have I done? Oh, cancel. Why am I painting red? What have I done? What have I done? I don't know what oh, opacity. Opacity 10. Okay. So I'm just going a bit to make her eyes lighter and the highlight, the catch light, sorry. Now I would say the colors have changed. The color of the eyes has changed a bit. So I can just do a vibrance layer and bring the saturation down a bit. Okay, I need to link this to just this layer. So you see you can make crazy vampire eyes, or you can make them completely brown, grayish. But she's got brown eyes. You can change the color of the eyes. You can do whatever you want. Okay, let's see. I have my notes so I don't forget anything. Okay, so now I am going to make this, I'm going to flatten, there we go. I'm going to make this image a bit more matte. So for that, I'm going to do, oh no, sorry, not levels. I'm going to do curves. I'm just going to give it up a little bit here, a tiny bit down here, tiny bit. And I am going to lift. If you lift this end here and just lift it up. I'm going to exaggerate. You see, you make the image matte. You obviously don't want it so matte. So just lift it up a bit. I think that's too much. Just to give it like a slight, you see, matte kind of finish. I'm just looking at the time. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm going to hurry up. Okay. This next action I'm going to use, it's basically just going to make a very special contrast layer. It's going to make the image pop a lot. You do it with the channels. You do it with the green channel, actually. But just for the sake of time, I'm just going to play my... No, that's not the one. Action. Sorry, this is not the action that I wanted. Is this one, green channel. So there you go. You can see the before and after. Can you see that touch of, I know it's sharper and it's got more contrast to it. So that's this green channel layer. Then I am going to, okay, let's see. No, I'm just gonna go for it. I'm just going to use this. It's another matte layer. As you can see the curve. I've put this up so it's a bit more matte. I've darkened it out, but this is not going to be for the whole picture. So I'm just going to take my brush black. I'm just going to give it 30% opacity. And I'm going to delete where I don't want it. So it's just like kind of, I don't want to say a vignette, but it's just going to make the background a bit darker because what I'm really interested in is the face. So now I do 100% opacity and I remove this completely from her face and most of her hair. If you can see the difference, it's not a lot, but it's bringing more attention towards the face. Now I would blur parts of the image. Again, it's really easy to do with just doing Gaussian blur and so on, but I'm just going to use my action for time's sake. Or not. Sorry, what have I done? Okay, I'm going to duplicate my layer. Now I'm going to do this. Okay, so I'm going to take my white brush, 30% opacity, and I'm just going to go over the whole image with my white brush all over the image. So you can see it looks a little bit blurry. And now I'm going to take my black brush and I am going to remove it from the subject. But you see, I'm not going all the way to the edges. This is almost like using a bigger aperture, so you get a little bit of shallow depth of field. So I'm going to now crank up the opacity to 100. Oh, again, 100. I'm going to remove it completely from her face. A bit of the front of the hair, not the back of the hair. And just maybe the edges of the tubes, not these ones because these are at the back. Okay. Yeah, more or less. To flatten. So now I am going to sharpen certain areas. So I'm going to duplicate this layer. Again, I was going to do all of this manually so you could see how I do it, but I have only 5 minutes left. No? Oh, I don't know how long I have. I'll just be quick. Okay, so this is just to make it all a bit, if you can see, sharper. This is the unsharp mask. So I just click OK. That's general on all the image. And then just for specific areas. Okay, there we go. I'm just going to change the opacity of my brush to 50%. I'm going to take my white brush and I'm going to go to the areas I really want super sharp, which are the eyes. You thought they couldn't be any sharper. You're wrong, because they can. So I just make them sharper. I like the eyebrows to be sharp. And the lips. Okay. So now I am going to flatten this again. I'm going to add a bit of noise because it's a painting, so it's supposed to have a bit of noise. So I just create an empty layer. I go to fill with 50% gray, hit OK. I go now to filter, noise, add noise, 12% uniform monochromatic. There we go. And now I'm going to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, just 0.5, not a lot, so the grain is a little bit more blurry. Okay, and now I change the blending mode, hopefully it should work, to soft light. And if you can see, I don't know if you can appreciate it on your screen, but can you see the grain? So this is before, and this is after. So for fine art, it really adds a little bit of something, I don't know. Okay, so now I'm going to do the very last steps. And for that, I'm going to create a curve. I'm going to go to image, apply image. So I apply the image to the curve. I read the blending mode normal, 100%. Yep. There we go. So I'm now going to duplicate this layer. I'm going to go for the highlights first, or for the shadows. Shadows first, okay. So I'll go for the shadows. I do Alt click in here. I invert. Weird and spooky. I create a curve and I'm going to give it a lot of contrast like that. Okay, I'm going to do it again. And I'm going to give it a lot of contrast. There's many ways of doing this, but I just like this way because it's very cool. Okay, so this is where I'm going to get, I'm going to gain my shadows. So I click on the curve, click, like nothing ever happened. And now I'm going to just drag this down a bit. You see, if I do it a lot, you get a lot of contrast. We don't want so much. We just want a tiny bit. We can adjust it later if we want. And now we go for the highlights. So I'm just going to do Alt click. I'm going to do Control M. We don't invert this one. So Command M makes a lovely curve. I'm going to go down and you can see the areas where the highlight is going to be added. Click OK, click on the curve. And I just go up a bit, and it gives that, I don't know, something extra to the image. You don't want to go too crazy. But if you see the difference, it's not a lot, but it's just a little bit of, I don't know, something, spark in her eyes or something. Yeah. So this would be the final image for today. If you want to see the before, pop. Now she almost looks ugly. Bless her, my lovely friend. But this is the before. This is how we started. And this is how we finished. So never believe anything you see in magazines because it's all a lie. And yeah, I think that's it.